The fifth chapter, chapter number 5, باب الدعاء إلى شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله. To call to La ilaha illallah. To call to testify that there is nothing deserving of worship in truth except Allah. And you see the order of the chapters, right? So the obligations of the Tawhid, the virtues of the Tawhid, purifying one's Tawhid, the fear of having the opposite of the Tawhid. And now, after knowing all of this, you are ready to call people to La ilaha illallah. You are not ready to call to people to La ilaha illallah unless you have these things already established in you. Understanding La ilaha illallah and such meanings, then a person is ready to call people to La ilaha illallah. The knowledge comes before action. So now it's the time to learn how to, or the virtues of calling people to La ilaha illallah and to the Tawheed. And the first ayah, قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي وَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. Say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is my way, I invite unto Allah with sure knowledge, I and whosoever follows me. وَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ, and glorified and exalted is Allah, and I am not of the polytheists. قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي. This beautiful ayah that shows the importance of the da'wah and the condition for the da'wah, for the call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي. This is my way. Sabil is the way. أَدْعُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. I call unto Allah, not to oneself, not to one glory, not to one's group, not to one's party, not to one's madhab, not to one's whatever there is, not to one's masjid. It's the call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَدْعُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. That the person wants people to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As one of the early generations of Islam, he said, I wish that people would worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, even if they would calm my body with iron calms. Right? His goal is for people to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to call them for any form of status in this life. أَدْعُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. And this is a very important statement and a very important thing. أدعو إلى الله, calling unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, على بصيرة, on clear knowledge, on clear evidences. Because how a person would call unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on false information? It has to be clear evidence from the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني. Me and those who follow me and believe in me. That means I call unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on clear knowledge, and also those who followed me should call unto Allah with clear knowledge. This is what the verse means. That the Prophet ﷺ and those who followed him should all call to Allah with clear knowledge. Subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free from all deficiencies. وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. I am not among the polytheists, those who associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we understand from this verse what? That the da'wah, the call of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and those who follow the Prophet ﷺ is the call to Allah, to La ilaha illallah, da'wah to Tawhid. It's not a call of mannerism, it's not a call of purifying the heart with some actions, it's not a call to do one thing or the other, it's the call to the Tawhid, the oneness of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And again, when we understand of the previous chapters, the Tawhid is not just from the major shirk to become a Muslim. No, the Tawhid is to establish the Tawhid and to purify the Tawhid and to complete it. And this is the call to the da'wah of the Tawheed. Everything has to be referred to the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, it shows the importance that if you call someone, the caller should be knowledgeable of what he calls people to. It doesn't have to be knowledgeable of the whole religion, but if he calls people to La ilaha illallah, he needs to know what the meaning of La ilaha illallah. And from these previous chapters, this information about La ilaha illallah, do a lot of Muslims know this? We need to know these meanings of La ilaha illallah to call people into La ilaha illallah. And this knowledge is mandatory. It's not something that is optional to the followers of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And how from the Tawheed is to Subhanallah, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free from all deficiencies. Subhanallah wa ma ana min al-mushrikeen, that the Muslim should stay away from the polytheists and the disbelievers. The next hadith, عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لما بعث معاذا إلى اليمن قال له إنك تأتي قوما من أهل الكتاب فليكن أول ما تدعوهم إليه شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله When Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent Mu'adh radiallahu anhu to Yemen, he said, you will come upon the people of the book. Let your first act be to call them to testify that there is no one worthy of worship in truth but Allah. Prophet ﷺ sent Mu'adh radiallahu anhu to Yemen. And the people of the book are the Jews and the Christians. And there were a lot of Jews in Yemen at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ ordering Mu'adh radiallahu anhu to call the people. The first thing is to La ilaha Illa Allah, an yuwahhidullah. There's another narration, ila an yuwahhidullah. See, the word Tawhid is not an innovation, it's something mentioned in the hadith. Ila an yuwahhidullah, so that the oneness of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. فإنهم أطاعوك لذلك فأعلمهم أن الله افترض عليهم 5 صلوات في كل يوم وليلة فإنهم أطاعوك لذلك فأعلمهم أن الله افترض عليهم صدقة تؤخذ من أغنيائهم فترد على فقرائهم فإنهم أطاعوك لذلك فإياك وكرائم أموالهم واتق دعوة المظلوم فإنه ليس بينها وبين الله حجاب. He said to single out Allah alone in the worship, the Tawhid. If they obey you in this, inform them that Allah has prescribed for them to offer 5 prayers, salah every day and night. If they obey you in this, then inform them that Allah has imposed upon them the duty of sadaqah, zakah, to be levied from the rich and distributed to the poor. If they obey you in this, then be careful not to take the best of their properties as payment of zakah, and safeguard yourself against the supplication of those who have suffered injustice, because there is no evil between, there is no veil between his supplication and Allah. The one that is oppressed, injustice has been committed against him. If he makes dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would accept his dua even if he's a disbeliever, when it comes to the one that has been oppressed or committed justice against. So again we see here the benefit of this hadith. Prophet ﷺ sending callers, which is something that is permissible to be done. That La ilaha Illa Allah is the most obligatory thing for a human being to believe in, not anything else. The most important thing is La ilaha Illa Allah. That is, the da'wah should be based on La ilaha Illa Allah first. Especially living in this environment, should not get indulged in what they want you to be busy with, talking about hijab and this and that to non-Muslims. No, they need the Tawheed. They need to understand what La ilaha Illa Allah means. You can link it, if they ask you any questions, you can link that to the Tawheed and to explain to them the Tawheed. And not just to make ourselves looking good in front of them. The goal is to explain to them clearly the meaning of La ilaha Illa Allah, because this is what they need the most. And the Prophet ﷺ said, if they would obey you in this, that means the gradual nature of giving the da'wah, that you don't start with the whole thing, you start in gradual, first thing, the most important thing, which is the Tawheed. Also, it is, you have to understand who are you talking to. Prophet ﷺ said to him that you would go to people of the book. That means it's a specific group of people, which is different than other groups of people. So for the person that is a caller, he needs to understand how people are, so that he would address people differently, and not the same thing to be said to everybody, like some people or some groups do. No, this is the way of the Prophet ﷺ, having the understanding of what the nature of people are, so that the person would have the benefit of speaking to them in the most perfect, most effective way. That after the Tawheed is the most important action is the Salah, and the importance of the Zakah, and that the Zakah is having only specific places where to put the money in, as it's mentioned in the verses in the Quran, and that not to take the one that is collecting the Zakah, not to take the best of the money and not the worst of the money, but from the midst of one's wealth, and to be warned from dhulm and committing injustice. Mu'adh radiallahu anhu will be in charge of these people. So the Prophet ﷺ warning him not to fall into injustice, and he warned them that the madhloom, the one that is being oppressed, his dua is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if he's a disbeliever. If he's a disbeliever and he would call into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to punish the oppressor, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts his dua even after some time. The last hadith in the chapter, يقول ولهما عن سهل بن سعد رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يوم خيبر لأعطين الراية غدا رجلا يحب الله ورسوله ويحبه الله ورسوله يفتح الله على يديه فبات الناس يدوكون ليلتهم أيهم يعطاها فلما أصبحوا غدوا على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كلهم يرجو أن يعطاها فقال أين علي بن أبي طالب فقيل هو يشتكي عينيه فأرسلوا إليه فأتي به فبصق في عينيه ودعا له فبرأ كأن لم يكن به وجع فأعطاه الراية فقال انفذ على رسلك حتى تنزل بساحتهم ثم ادعوهم إلى الإسلام وأخبرهم بما يجب عليهم من حق الله تعالى فيه فوالله لأن يهدي الله بك رجلا واحدا خير لك من حمر النعم. On the day of Khaybar, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam asserted, tomorrow I shall indeed give the flag to a person who loves Allah and His Messenger and is loved by Allah and His Messenger. Such a great glad tidings and good news for that person that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will give him the flag. Allah will grant victory under his leadership. The people spend the night absorbed in discussing as to whom might the flag be given. Shows the virtues of the Sahaba. This is their concern. Their concern is not about the dunya, who would give more money. They're concerned that they spend the whole night, who would be given this honor, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves him, and he loves Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They did not say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us, who is better than the companions radiallahu anhum. They did not have this arrogance. This is their concern. In the morning they came eagerly to Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, each of them hoping to be given the flag. And it was mentioned that they would stretch their neck so that the Prophet ﷺ would see them, of how each one wants to be that person. Allah's Messenger ﷺ asked, where is Ali ibn Abi Talib? Choose the virtues of Ali radiallahu anhu. They replied, he is suffering from an eye ailment. He was sent for and brought. Allah's Messenger ﷺ then spat in his eyes and prayed for him, whereupon he was cured as if he had no previous pains. Allah's Messenger ﷺ then gave him the flag and said, advance with ease and gentleness until you arrive in their midst, then call them to Islam and inform them of their duties to Allah in Islam. This is the point why the hadith is mentioned. Asking him to call them to what? To the deen of Allah, to the Tawhid, to the oneness of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he said, by Allah, if He may guide through you a single man to Islam, then it is better for you than the red camels, which is the most precious type of wealth at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and this is in the day of Khaybar. The hadith of course have many benefits in it, but it shows the virtues of Ali radiallahu anh, a statement and a witness from the Prophet ﷺ to Ali radiallahu anh, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those who are righteous. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loved Ali radiallahu anh? For what reason? For his actions, for his belief and his good deeds, and so on. Also, the virtues of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum in general. This is their concern. The concern is the deen. This is the concern of one's life, should be how to make the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala victorious. And also that the call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the da'wah to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the virtues of that. Right? And the miracle of the Prophet ﷺ when he spent in the eyes of Ali radiallahu anh. And the statement at the end shows the virtues of the da'wah. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a person ameen for the guidance of others, which shows that guidance is not in our hands. As the Prophet ﷺ said, فَوَاللَّهِ لَأَنْ يَهْدِي اللَّهُ بِكَ رَجُلًا وَاحِدًا. That if Allah make guidance to someone through you, so we are nothing but means. That means relax. You just do your job, and the guidance is in the hands of Allah. That means a person should not compromise the deen or anything like that. Just explain the truth to the person, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the one that guides. But it's the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that gives such virtue to the one that is nothing but a mean to show the people the truth and La ilaha illa Allah. So that a person is not arrogant and believe that he is the one that is guiding others. And the Prophet ﷺ said, better for you than humr al-ni'am, the red camels. Red camels being the most precious wealth at the time. You know, if in one day, nowadays, for example, someone would say, for you to be ameen for him to accept the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is better for you than going and getting, you know, the most expensive cars on the face of earth, which worth hundreds and thousands of dollars, where people would fight and have the concern about having it if they are given the chance. But for a person seeing the reality and the certainty of the rewards of Allah, he sees things in a different way to be a mean of guidance. That's why the most benefiting people on the face of earth are the ones of source of guidance to others. And that the guidance is in the hands of Allah, so believe in the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not to panic or not to compromise the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it shows the virtues of the da'wah, the call to La ilaha Illa Allah, to the Tawhid, especially for those who live among the non-Muslims. It's very important that we understand the Tawhid and call people to it.